December 2nd, 2019, in this court, you were placed on 10 years deferred or unadjudicated probation for the second-degree felony of burglary of a habitation. Is that true? That you committed the offense of manslaughter on or about January 4th, 2025 in Jefferson County, Texas, in violation of condition 1 of your deferred or unadjudicated probation order, which states do not commit an offense against this state or any other state or the United States. Is that allegation true and correct?
Yes, sir.
Person commits the crime of manslaughter pursuant to section 19.04 of the Texas Penal Code if he recklessly causes the death of an individual. Did that occur in this case, sir? I'm asking you. That's what it takes on this. Did that occur?
Yes, sir.
All right. And are you admitting, based upon the facts and based upon your discussions with your attorney, that you did recklessly cause the death of another individual?
Yes.
Just in quick summary, what was the circumstances? How did the death occur?
It's represented in the indictment.
I don't have it yet, but I'm looking at the motion to revoke.
25 DCCR 0173.
Purposes.
For the summary of this, so we know what we're doing, go ahead.
In 30968, that was the burglary of a habitation that we had left off on. He had made it all the way down to what we thought was an agreed sentence. But then again, we learned at that time that it's not what the agreement is. The reason I wanted it on the record is because I want to make sure that Mr. Matisse fully understands that I think that offer was withdrawn. And so we have to go back and explain now and need to agreement to run CC. And I just want to make sure Mr. Matisse would explain that to you. So that's
All right, so we're still, do we have two cases to deal with or just one?
we had to, Your Honor, the motion to revoke the agreement now is 18 years to run CC with 25 DCCR of
And-
173.
And what's going to be the sentence in the manslaughter case?
It's 18 years.
Okay.
Both cases are the same.
Both of the same, all right. So picking up back up on the first amended motion to revoke unadjudicated probation in this case, I think for the clarity, we're going to start and from scratch, so it's clear. And you are Keontae Torian Batiste, correct, sir? And you were charged with the motion to revoke unadjudicated probation, first amended in cause number 19-30968. And there is a newer indictment in 25 CR 173 for manslaughter. We're going to first deal with this motion to revoke unadjudicated probation, where you have been placed on probation for 10 years deferred or unadjudicated probation since 2019 for burglary of a habitation. Again, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm any statement during this hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
All right, lower your hand. And we proceed in summary. He waives a formal reading of this.
Yes, sir.
In summary, there is a first amended motion to revoke unadjudicated probation filed on March of last year, 2025. And in summary, it states that on December 2nd, 2019, in this court, you were placed on 10 years deferred or unadjudicated probation for the second degree felony of burglary of a habitation. Is that true, sir?
Yes.
And he's going to be pleading guilty to the manslaughter. And we're going to go back on this number 14 under the first amended.
Right.
Allegation 14, sir, states that you committed the offense of manslaughter on or about January 4th, 2025 in Jefferson County, Texas, in violation of your probation order, condition 1, which states do not commit a crime. And it is represented by an indictment filed on February 12th of 2025 in cause number 25 CR 173 in this court, which alleges in summary that on or about January 4th of 2025 in Jefferson County, Texas, you recklessly caused the death of an individual by operating your motor vehicle in excess of the posted speed limit and failing to control the automobile and running a red light, fleeing from a police officer, all that causing your automobile to strike another automobile occupied by a passenger, and during the commission of that offense, it is alleged that you used or exhibited a deadly weapon, namely an automobile, that in the manner of its use or intended use is capable of causing serious bodily injury or death, which is the legal definition for a deadly weapon. Do you understand what this alleges, and is all of this true and correct, sir?
Yes.
Are you pleading true to this allegation 14 of this first amended motion to revoke unadjudicated probation in cause number 30968, voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently, and based upon discussions with your attorneys? Is all of that true?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that a voluntarily and knowingly made plea of true to one or more violations of probation, that is enough to grant a motion to revoke probation? Your probation can be revoked. You can now be found guilty and sentenced up to the full range, which is up to 20 years in prison. Knowing that, do you insist on pleading true today?
Yes, sir.
I find you are pleading true voluntarily. You understand and appreciate the consequences of pleading true. In this case, there is an agreement that has been reached by the parties where you would be pleading true to the allegation of a violation of probation, found guilty. Your probation would be revoked. You would be found guilty and sentenced to 18 years in prison to run concurrently with the proceeding case we're going to be dealing with in 19-309. 8. Stand by.
Should be up 7.
Yeah, it's backwards.
017.
You're going to be, you're pleading guilty in the first amended of, pleading true rather to 19-30968. And that is the first amended motion to revoke probation. That will run concurrently with a plea of guilty here you're going to be making in 25 CR 173, the newer indictment for the second degree felony of manslaughter. Is that true?
Yes.
If I follow all of this, you have no right of appeal. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On 25 CR 173, the new indictment, does the defendant waive a formal reading of that? Can we proceed in summary?
Yes, Your Honor.
In summary, that indictment again alleges that on or about January 4th, 2025 in Jefferson County, Texas, you committed the second degree felony of manslaughter that we have discussed the circumstances with you already. And do you understand what you're charged with there, sir?
Yes, sir.
If convicted, that's a second degree felony. You face a term of not more than 20 years or less than 2 years in prison and up to $10,000 in fines. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
And the agreement has been reached in your case where you will be pleading guilty, sentenced to 18 years in prison to run concurrently with this first amended motion to revoke unadjudicated probation of a burglary of a habitation, a second degree felony that you were on probation for when you committed this new offense. Is that your understanding of the agreement? If I follow this agreement, you have no right of appeal of your case. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
How do you plead to discharge guilty or not guilty? Sorry. Are you pleading guilty voluntarily and because you are guilty of this second degree manslaughter as it is alleged in this indictment in 173?
Sir.
I show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 1 in this case as well. Did you sign that document?
Yeah.
Understand it? Discuss it with your attorney, or the contents true and correct? State's Exhibit 1 tendered without objection admitted. Similarly to what we talked about in this first amended motion, this states that you are mentally confident to enter your guilty plea. It's freely and voluntarily made. You know what you've been charged with. The indictment's been read to you. You've read that you were guilty of the crime charged and any lesser included offenses. And you were giving up your rights to a jury trial and the rights to the appearance, confrontation, cross-examination of witnesses. You were totally satisfied with the representation provided by your lawyers, all true, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
States Exhibit 1, part of the record for all purposes.
Yours,
Pre-sentence reports are waived in each of these cases?
Yes.
All right, if nothing further to add, I will follow these agreements and find that you have pleaded guilty in 173, the new manslaughter case, and true to allegation number, God bless you, 14 of the first amended motion to revoke probation in cause number 19-30968. You have made your pleas today voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently. You are mentally competent to do so. You understand and appreciate the consequences of pleading guilty. There's sufficient evidence supporting your guilty plea in each case from State's Exhibit 1 that was admitted in each of these cases, and also your admission of voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently admitting to true to violation 14 under the first amended motion to revoke probation, alleging you committed the offense of manslaughter on or about January 4th, 2025 in violation of condition of 1 of your probation order, which is the circumstances that you have admitted to in cause number 25 CR 173, this second degree manslaughter indictment that you have pleaded guilty to. I now find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in 173. And I'm following this agreement. You were hereby sentenced to confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 18 years. And an affirmative finding will be shown on the record and in the judgment that a deadly weapon, namely an automobile, was used in the commission of that offense. In cause number 19-30968, where the defendant was placed on probation for burglary of a habitation on December 2nd, 2019, there is sufficient evidence supporting this first amended motion to revoke unadjudicated probation to grant it by a preponderance of the evidence or greater as allegation 14 is proven true. You committed the offense of manslaughter as you have been found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of in cause number 25 CR 173. Thus, this first amended motion to revoke unadjudicated probation is hereby granted by a preponderance of the evidence or greater. Your deferred or unadjudicated probation is hereby revoked. Earlier in this case, you had pleaded guilty voluntarily. You were mentally competent to do so. You understood and appreciated the consequences of pleading guilty. There was sufficient evidence supporting your guilty plea to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt on December 2nd, 2019. But the court deferred any finding of guilt and placed you on deferred or unadjudicated probation for a period of 10 years. That is here now and hereby revoked. You are hereby, due to the violation of committing the second degree felony of manslaughter, and you are now hereby found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of that earlier burglary of a habitation charge for which you had pleaded guilty to, but for which we had deferred probation. Having now been found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, you are hereby sentenced to confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, serve a term of 18 years imprisonment. These two sentences shall run concurrently. You will be given credit for all time you have served in accordance with those cases. Do you understand what has happened in these cases, Mr. Batiste? Anything to add, my attorney?
No.
All right. Okay. We are in assessment.
Judge, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I need to talk to you.
Under Texas Penal Code Section 19.04, the defendant's guilty plea established that he recklessly caused the death of an individual, and the court entered an affirmative deadly weapon, finding that the motor vehicle, as used, was capable of causing death or serious bodily injury, which impacts parole eligibility. Under Texas Code of Criminal Procedure Article 42, a governing deferred adjudication, the defendant had previously been placed on deferred probation for burglary of a habitation, a second-degree felony, and by committing a new offense, he violated a fundamental condition of supervision, and upon his plea of true to the violation, the court was authorized to revoke probation and proceed to adjudication of guilt on the original charge, and after finding sufficient evidence supporting both the manslaughter conviction and the probation violation, the court revoked deferred adjudication, entered a finding of guilt on the burglary offense, and imposed a sentence of 18 years imprisonment for manslaughter and 18 years imprisonment for burglary of a habitation to be served concurrently in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, with an affirmative deadly weapon finding recorded and no right of appeal pursuant to the plea agreement.
A man on deferred probation for burglary fled police in 2025, ran a red light, and caused a fatal crash. He admitted to manslaughter, which violated his probation. The court revoked his probation, found him guilty in both cases, and sentenced him to 18 years in prison, to be served at the same time.